Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the level 2 recording for Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. It's September 29th, and the topic for today is sexuality, both healthy human sexuality and unhealthy human sexuality. So let me grab, here's my lasagna, here's my pencil, and let me get going. So the whole idea, first, chakras are energy centers of the body. The whole idea of creative life force energy flowing through those healthy energy centers of the body, these right here, is that when it is done right, it leads to creating life. Oh, Joelle is saying, Aurora, if you see certain colors of light with your third eye, maybe it is related to different chakras. Yes, absolutely. This is a comment, I think, from the level 1 recording. That this is absolutely truthful. We were talking about the activation of the insight, the higher dimensional eye of perception. And when you begin to focus that, it's like a telescope and it's also like a microscope, that you're able to perceive different things about your own anatomy, your own cellular structure, your own health, and definitely about which is the predominant layer of time that you are experiencing, and that would be represented by a color. It's just like saying, what octave are we playing in today? This octave down here or this octave up here? And that is what the different colors will be able to tell you. So, okay, doing human sexuality right now. The chakras are energy centers on the body. Let me get some photos together here. Here, and one more. Okay, so wait, I'll start off with this. So these are non-physical energy presences. And the whole idea is that is one depiction of them. Here's another depiction of them. And here what we've got is two different figures. And I try to always have a male and a female. I've got a male over here and a female over here. And the idea is that these energy centers of the body are supposed to mesh to get together and integrate perfectly as part of healthy human sexuality. And of course, what we have on Earth right now is not healthy at all. And I always try to say I'm going to do a very linear presentation in the class, and then I start jumping around. So the this is level 2 recording, and it's I do a much more methodical presentation about it. So in terms of healthy sexuality, it means that all of the energy centers, from the one that is at the base of the spine to the one that is at the let me go to a different. Hold on. Let me go to a different. There, but you can see it a little bit better there. That each one of these centers of the body, I can't draw down that low. Sorry, pen limitations. Here, this center, there. So there's the orange one down there. There's the red one down there. There's the yellow one, green, light blue, dark blue, and violet. That all of those energy centers are supposed to fit together. Here, wait, where's this thing? Here, let's draw a partner for this person over here. Here's a wonderful partner. All of those energy centers are supposed to fit together. They're supposed to meet and integrate. And that is what all of the socialization aspects of meeting a prospective mate are supposed to be about. And so that's what dancing is supposed to be. And of course, okay, and I get into a lot of this about in the recorded lessons. Hundreds of years ago, dancing was very different than it is right now. In present partners dancing, sometimes people don't even touch or hold hands. However, the idea was that in other times with human social partners, the idea of two people dancing with their clothes on and being able to meet face to face and see how they feel when their energy centers align. That's what this is all about. That I should start at the beginning, that sexuality is an expression of creative life force energy and is supposed to end in the end result of making new life, making new stuff. Like, this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me at all, and not just casting aspersions here. But here in this very backwards world, people want to have sex, but they don't want to make a baby. But making a baby is the definition of sexuality. It is what sexuality is all about. So now, and let me get it. So there's healthy sexuality, unhealthy sexuality. Healthy sexuality also involves attenuating, which is, this is our attention. And here, I'll pull up a picture for anyone who, this is from level 1 stuff, squinting and scrolling. Hold on a minute. Let me get in my groove here. So this, get the pencil going. I can't actually, it's not working. I'm like trying to, it's not working. Sorry. Now nothing is showing. Okay, I don't know why I can't draw on this anymore. Something crazy has happened with my machinery. But at this center, eye of insight over here. Oh, look, nothing is even working. Here, look at that. Okay, now my face is here again. Let's just stop with the whole thing. This is supposed to be your attention, like an elephant's trunk or a long tendril that sticks out and can touch on anyone, any other person, any concept, any time and place. So let's get into unhealthy sexuality. In healthy sexuality, one is supposed to attenuate to one's partner. It's supposed to be a telepathic bridge of love. I mean, it's kind of like that show Sense8 that I mentioned in level 1, the idea of being telepathically connected on a bridge of love to other people. And then, of course, if you would be making love, what that would feel like. But I think that show takes it in kind of an unsavory direction, because it's not just about having a big giant orgy or commodifying sex or diminishing the specialness of sexuality. I mean, in this world, that is the problem that's going on. Just like the eye of insight has been commodified, where people sell access to other people and say, I'll give you a health reading, or I'll read your future, or I'll tell you who you were in a past life. That, yes, people commodify selling access to their genitals and to sexual life force energy. So wait, let me go through the colors like this. Oh man, I don't know if my whiteboard will even work at this point. I'm like looking for the pencil here. Okay. Oh my goodness, I think I finally fixed it. Sorry about that, guys. This is red, and they don't really have an orange for me here, but let's say here's orange. Oops. Yellow, green, light blue, here we go, dark blue, and violet. Whew, that wasn't easy to get through. Okay, so this is like the bridge or the ladder that we are ascending or going up as we are activating these different levels of reality, levels of time, levels of our time body. And what we're supposed to be doing is connecting on each one of these levels to our prospective partner. Like here's one person over here, and here's one person over here. What do I mean? This is the advanced class, so I feel like I'm doing super shorthand, but what do I mean when I say connecting on every level? This is the level of physicality. Hey, you know something? Everyone on earth can pretty much recognize and agree, like this is when people are connecting physically. There's actual, like intercourse penetration. There's actual physical flesh touching one another. That's connecting physically. And then there's still some question about what it is to connect emotionally. And then there's definitely a question about connecting intellectually. That's, even the capacity to share information. And then all of this is kind of considered to be some kind of a fantasy or a fairy tale, the idea of connecting on the level of the higher faculties too. So in order for humans to even be procreating successfully over the past, couple of thousand years, what's been pretty much is just connecting on this lowest level, pardon me, like the least common denominator in math, the lowest level of what beings can have in commonality. This is the highest level. This would be like the divine connection. And what we're supposed to do is only connect with our divine partners. But because humanity has had their higher faculties here, I'm drawing an X here. So it's like showing humans are blind. They're flying blind. They can't tell who's the right person. Who's the right person to have sex with? Who's the right person to have a baby with? Like that is unimaginable. That's not the way we were designed. We were designed to have these wonderful eyeballs up here. Now I'm drawing a little eyeball that tells us, here, let's use a blue color. When we look down the time tunnel with our eyeball of higher insight, whether that's a particular appropriate partner or not. If you look down the time tunnel and you're like, oh, we'll have wonderful, healthy children together, let's do it, then that's it working effectively. Let's say you look down the time tunnel and you see, no, horrible disease children or stillbirths all the time, then you're like, that's not an effective partner. Or what if it's like, oh, you have healthy children, but this person is abusive, or this person doesn't actually feed the children, or this person is self-destructive and goes on a drug bender, or what, any of those things, you're like, that's not a person that you would wish to procreate with. So everybody's been flying blind up until this point. This is the unhealthy human sexuality. And mostly the focus has just been on connecting physically. And it's somewhat of a miracle that with those two difficulties facing humanity, that humanity is doing any amount of right musical notes. It's amazing that any babies are conceived or that any babies are born healthy, because all of this is about, so, okay, the dancing together and seeing if chakras align together and seeing if these two partners can integrate. This is all about seeing if life can be conceived. What I paint back here, this is the musical score of the cosmos, and I'm a musician, and we're playing the symphony of life. So I'm playing the symphony that is how to keep Aurora's body alive. And that's a really good, worthwhile symphony. And there's another way to participate in the symphony, which is saying, like, how to reproduce, how to get together with a partner and make another person that then adds to the symphony, make a new musician. That's a really big, special thing. However, it is not necessarily treated in this time and place like it is a big, special thing or like a desirable thing. It is in many ways treated like a burdensome chore or something to be avoided. And there are all these programs that are running. The idea of overpopulation, that's definitely not truthful. That is a myth. We do have inappropriate dissemination of resources and inappropriate creation of resources. We do not necessarily have a problem with overpopulation. But this is about self-destruction and the ambivalence of people even being in existence. So they're like, oh, I don't know, there's too many people, there's too many babies, I shouldn't reproduce because there's too many people. I think that's really a myth. But again, I don't want to have the things that I'm saying be taken out of context. However, it's not just that we have too many people, we have the wrong people here. And I don't want this to be used as an excuse for infanticide or euthanasia or genocide. I'm not saying pick up a machine gun or get the guillotines going and just kill everyone. That's inconvenient. It's not like that at all. But it's like saying this. Everybody is supposed to have their higher faculties activated so that they can go around. It's like sniffing food before you actually eat it. You can tell, like, is this the right food? No, that's not the right food for me. I'm going to eat over there instead. That's what we're supposed to be able to do with our higher faculties, to be able to look down various time tunnels and tell, oh, hey, if I partner with that person, what's going to happen? If I partner with that person, what's going to happen? It is having a long distance through time way of sensing or smelling what's going to occur. And that's how we're supposed to do it. But most people don't do that. So people oftentimes get into relationships and procreative relationships that they regret because they find out that they were making choices that were not, based on the best possible future outcomes. So there's a lot of children that are conceived and then the relationship doesn't work out properly. This is what I'm trying to say. It's not that those are bad children, that we should get a guillotine and kill them or anything like that. No, no, no. What I am advocating for is that people recognize we need to activate this in order to make good choices about who to have as a partner. It's like making music with other people. How do you learn to make good music with other people? How do you learn to integrate with other musicians? First, you have to train and become musically literate, and then you find other people to play with. And if you're trained as a jazz musician, but someone else is trained only in classical, maybe you're not actually meant to integrate together. Maybe you're actually meant to play with someone else. So that is what I'm trying to say. So don't take my work out of context. I don't think that we should kill a bunch of babies. However, we should have the right babies. So this has been the problem in human history for many thousands of years, not having the right babies. So part of that is because in human biological sexuality, females are supposed to be the person that chooses, that selects for future characteristics. So females are supposed to be like the gatekeeper that says who is allowed to come into the womb, the crucible, and make new babies. And so females are supposed to be able to determine, hey, these are the desirable characteristics of future partners that I want to bring forward through time. Think about this. This is what I'm trying. Where's my little yellow sculpture? This is the time field. And sexuality and making new babies is how you transfer information down through time. You send it off to your descendants. You have babies. You move certain characteristics forward through the time field through procreative sex. So one of the problems is in this time and place, the act of sexuality has been removed or disconnected from the act of procreation. That ain't right. Sexuality and procreation are intimately connected together. So this is part of the unhealthiness of the present barbarian system that we find ourselves within. So part of it is sexuality is connected to procreation. Then let's get down to appropriate arousal and emotional partners. So females are supposed to be the gatekeepers. However, for many thousands of years, they were disempowered and not given the capacity to choose their own partners or choose when they procreated or how much they procreated. That was like something that was imposed upon them by male partners. And at the same time, we have the unhealthy cultural practice of circumcision. I'm so happy to see that there is now an intactivist movement, a group of people who are adults and who are parents or who aren't parents, but who want to influence, the decisions of parents and medical professionals to say that it is barbaric is not even the word. It is torturous, like unforgivable torture. The idea of doing genital mutilation on male children with no anesthetic. So this isn't just me making this up. We're just being horrified by earthly practices, drinking water. There's actual medical research that's been done on this. So if you are into it, check out the medical research. Some people call circumcision literal, quote unquote, penis lobotomy, because there have been MRIs that are done to little male infants pre and post circumcision. And again, circumcision, this is the surgical removal of the foreskin without anesthesia, that it causes profound changes to the frontal lobe, the areas of the brain that are involved in socialization and decision making, and causes these profound changes that are lifelong. And we do this to a significant portion of our male infants. It's not just the Jewish males. In the United States, it's a lot of other little babies too. And a variety of reasons are given, for like medical reasons, and none of which are actually borne out. It has profound changes to the emotional landscape of that child that then becomes a sexually active and adult male. Hold on, drinking more water. The functioning of the actual penis and arousal. So if we are looking at, let me just grab a picture to gesture with. I'm just getting a picture of a person with chakras. Let me see what I got. Okay, so we've got this person over here, this man. And let's say that this person is circumcised when, they're a little tiny infant. And then that causes changes not only to their, their physical structures of their body, but it also causes changes to their emotions, because it's not just a change to the, the physical, like skin and cells of the shape of the male genitals. The action of circumcision and the trauma is what I'm trying to say, that it is a traumatic act of torture and torment that disconnects the feelings of the emotional centers, which is orange. I'm just highlighting the orange one there. Orange, and it's usually at the level of the guts, like the intestines. These are the mammalian emotions. And the mammalian emotions are supposed to determine what we are sexually attracted to. Because remember, mammals choose their partners based upon attraction, and they actually work together and give live birth and suckle their young. So this is very, very different than just like a reptilian breeding paradigm, which is just the red level, which is just kill or be killed. Can I have sex with something? Can I not have sex with something? They have very different levels of requirements. It does not have to be based in attraction. And also when you're a reptile, you have 1,000 babies and you just let it, like, lay some eggs, let them go. You don't have just 2 babies and actually take care of them and feed them. It's a different paradigm. So the males that are circumcised, it causes a disconnect from the mammalian emotions. And the mammalian emotions are supposed to say who you are attracted to, who is an appropriate sexual partner for procreation. So for a male, an adult human male, an appropriate sexual partner for procreation is someone who is not their own offspring. This is biological. If you procreate with your own biological offspring, you will have exacerbated recessive genetic traits. Inbreeding, this is considered to be not healthy and not good. So being connected to those emotional centers means that when you're a father and you have a child, you say, that child is my child and I feel fatherly feelings towards my child. I do not feel sexual attraction towards my child. If that is not the truth, if there's been a disconnect between that, there are profound problems. That's not the way that things are supposed to be set up. So part of it is circumcision desensitizes the actual penis, the actual genitals, the most sensitive and vulnerable place of reality creation on the male physical body. And when I say all this stuff about males, because I'm not a male, I'm not trying to make men feel bad about themselves. I'm not trying to criticize you at all. I'm actually trying to give greater insight, and that I have a great deal of sympathy or like feeling like we are alongside of you, that it's not okay. So I'm happy that there is a movement to keep males intact, and for males that have been subjected to circumcision, that there can be some kind of profound inner healing that reconnects the sense of emotions. Because think about what happens when a little baby is tortured in that way. It is like, this is the part of the body that is so sensitive, and that they are vulnerable, and that they are harmed, and then they are literally physically desensitized. So the females that are supposed to be the gatekeepers, who then determine, and also let's say sexuality actually, what healing am I saying? Someone is asking, what healing am I saying about what can be done for males? So it's not like, oh, you've been circumcised, just discard you, get rid of you because there's nothing we can do with you. No, not at all like that. So the first part of healing is an intellectual program where you recognize, hey, this is penis lobotomy, this is what actually happened. And then just like with anything, any trauma, that we can have profound healing. It can be done through a technique like flying rainbow lasagna, where you travel through time and restructure the genetic, let's say, residue. Everything we have creates a residue or reverberation in the genes, in the genetic code. Yeah, well, the person is asking if this is related to lower chakras. So yeah, all of sexuality is coming from red. That's, the chakra that's at the base of the spine. It's where our genitals are, but it's also orange. Here, it's also orange. That's at the level of your intestines, where your food is digested, where you feel your intuition, where you have your trillions of gut microbes, and where you feel your, mammalian emotions from. Mammalian emotions are emotions of attraction and revulsion. It's like the feeling like you want to pet some animals, you don't want to pet other animals. Some animals are slimy and gross, like, oh, I don't want to pet that. Some animals are cute and fluffy, I want to pet that. Those are mammalian emotions. And we transfer that. Yes, Christina is saying soul retrieval type of work and trauma release. That's exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the profound healing that males can experience. Everybody on this planet has been sexually traumatized. It's not just women, it's not just males. And having greater understanding of males' desensitization and also cutting off from their emotional centers helps us to understand where the behavior comes from, but it doesn't excuse or justify the behavior, but that's where it comes from. So males that have had this desensitization of not only their physical body parts, but also their connection to arousal. That if the system is functioning correctly, males should be aroused by non-familial family members, non-familial females who are fertile, because sex is about procreation. And I know that I'm in this world where people don't think that sex is about procreation. People think that sex is about some expression of your inner personality, but that is not truthful. Sex is literally, you are holding life force energy in trust for the cosmos, and you're supposed to use that life force energy to manifest the right events, the right thoughts, the right behaviors, and the right people. So if you biologically have the capacity to reproduce, it is a responsibility to be a good musician and to use it in the right way and to do it with the right people. So commodification of sexuality means, oh, you're not using it in the right way. If my sexuality says I need to play this note, but someone says, I will pay you money to play this note, and I play this note, then that has commodified my sexuality. And even if it's like this, let's say hundreds of years ago, women weren't allowed to have their own money, run their own businesses. So it was like, oh, I'm in love with this man over here, the poor farmer, but I have to marry this man over here, the man that my family approves of, that is wealthier and will take quote unquote better care of me, but that maybe is sexually unattractive to me. And then I still, with that guy, have to sleep with him and have babies with him. That's not what's supposed to be going on. This is the whole idea when I say that women are supposed to be the gatekeepers. I'm not just trying to say, oh, I'm a woman, I get to choose who goes forward through time. It's not supposed to be that at all. It's the idea that in the structure of the body and in sexuality and making this beautiful biological music, there's a reason why women are attracted to certain characteristics and repulsed by other characteristics. Just like when we look at little puppies and kittens with their big eyes and they're so cute, I want to love and hug them. But if I look at a disgusting, like slimy creature or a shark or a spider, I'm like, ew, I don't want to love and hug that. I'm like, keep it away from me. There are reasons. These are biological reasons. Like, I don't want to hug a snake. I don't want to hug an insect. I want to hug a puppy. These are biological reasons why we feel this way. So there are reasons why women are attracted to certain male characteristics, and that is positive. But what has been not appropriate throughout a lot of human history is males that are saying, oh, I don't care whether you are not attracted to me. I own you like you're my possession. I force you because I'm stronger than you, or I force you because I have more money and I own you in some way. And that's what prostitution is. So I'm not judging women that commodify their sexuality. I understand that it comes from a place of complete desperation, that women in many places are so disempowered that the only way that they can get money or the tools that they need for survival is to commodify their sexuality, but none of that is okay. So that's also a big part of this emotional disconnect, that in prostitution, there are the women who sell and commodify, but there's also the men who buy and who feel that that is appropriate. If males were actually connected to their real mammalian emotional centers, they would not be attracted to or aroused by a woman who is selling their sexuality. They would feel pity for that woman. They would say, wow, that woman is so disempowered, feels so little value for herself and for her body and for her, genetic possibilities of the future, that she is willing to give me access to that for whatever amount, any amount between $1 and $1 million. Like, it's not okay. Even if it's $1 million, it's not okay. It's kind of crazy, because that's the thing that we have that is the most valuable. It's the music of time. It's the thing we have that is the most valuable. And someone paying you, or having to be in a marriage of convenience that is not based on love or attraction in any way in order to survive, and you have babies with someone out of a marriage of convenience, this is playing the wrong notes. And I'm not judging or trying to say bad, wrong, or that we should kill those children, but nothing like that. And I hope that I'm very correct and impeccable in the way that I'm sharing these things. Tech is saying the reason for things like porn and Playboy. Let's get to pornography. Excellent segue for me. So I just got through in level one, saying that this is our paintbrush of the mind that we use to attenuate, that we use it to touch on other people. And what we're supposed to do is use this like a long distance sniffer to be able to tell who's a good partner. I'm sniffing around. Who's a good partner for me if I want to have a baby? Like, who's a good partner? It's not meant to say, let me attach my mind and my perception to other people that are involved in their own private process, personal process of reality creation. First of all, the pornography, a lot of it has to do with making something that should be private and sacred public for commodification. The partners that are having sex in porn, they don't love each other, and they're doing it for money, and they're putting it on a screen for money to be sold. But then there's the people that are focusing on that. If you're focusing on other people's sexuality as opposed to your own sexuality, it's like you are focusing on other people's music, other people's notes that they should be playing, instead of focusing on your own notes that you're supposed to be playing. So let's use the example of Marilyn Monroe, a huge cultural sex symbol for many decades in the United States, that many men in that era, they could be having physical intercourse with their physical partner, their wife or their girlfriend, but they're not imagining their love and energy and tendrils of attraction and bonding and connection going forward to Jane Smith, their actual physical partner that's in their bed. They're mentally sending out their tendrils of attraction to Marilyn Monroe or whatever pinup of the day, the idealized female form and the image that they are imagining. We just got through level one. This is your movie screen of your inner imagination. It's a very powerful reality creation machine. Imagining having sex with Marilyn Monroe or a pinup girl as opposed to your plain old regular girlfriend who happens to be the person who's in bed with you. That all of that is siphoning off energy. That energy is supposed to go to your actual partner, that you're supposed to be envisioning and fantasizing and connecting fully with your actual partner, not having some kind of mental construct intermediary that siphons off that energy. And of course, the same can be done in the opposite direction of not just casting aspersions upon males. If females are fantasizing about whomever is the hot guy of the day, the movie star of the day that they wish that they had in bed, or that they wish that was their husband, taking care of the car or, getting the groceries. Like, oh, I wish it was whomever. I'm trying to think of some, whatever. It used to be Clark Gable. Now it's Brad Pitt. Whomever is the male sexual icon, that it's like that disrespects the person who is actually there in your life. And that is not what is supposed to actually be going on with your attention. So now let's get down to the magic of conception. When a male and female actually integrate their energy effectively and they actually conceive, it's like this. It's a lot like this image that happens here. It's not just a biological event. It's also an energetic and a spiritual event and a genetic event. So it's energetic and genetic, and it makes these beautiful patterns. We could call it sacred geometry. We could call it this interdimensional language. We could call it beautiful music of the cosmos. But when humans integrate effectively, they're taking part in that music. And when you play the musical notes right, you get a new baby, you get life. Like, that is magic when that actually happens. However, there are all of these things in this time and place that conspire to make that magical thing not happen. And then people say, I don't know what's wrong. We have these problems with infertility. So we'll have to have in vitro fertilization and then have this, fetus implanted in the womb so that this person can have a baby. And of course, there are many different things that can lead to infertility, including chemical exposure and exposure to artificial hormones in the environment and other degradation. And we'll get into birth trauma also, because Tech just said C-section later. That is absolutely right. When you conceive a baby properly, when you have conception like this, conception is like a firework. Let me talk about orgasm, because also, and this is the advanced class, and we're all mature people here. There's all of these movies, there's all of these things, there's all this pornography, it's all about sex, but none of it is about actual orgasm. So first of all, does position matter? Yes, position matters. That there's all of this normalization of, whatever would be considered not the missionary position. That's actual procreative sex. That's how you actually, like the idea of having anal sex. That is not correct. And I'm not just some extraterrestrial that's here saying, wow, humans do it in a weird way. That is actually based in biology, that there is no way for anal sex to lead to conception and birth. And this is all about making new life. Life from mommy and life from daddy comes together and makes the new life of a baby. And if you have anal sex or oral sex, there is no way for that to come together and actually make a baby. So then we have to ask, wait a minute, why are humans doing this? Why has this become an accepted cultural practice or an encouraged cultural practice? Well, in the 1700s, in time of the French Revolution, anal sex was encouraged because people didn't want to get pregnant, because, as I said before, getting pregnant was considered to be burdensome or a chore. Women didn't have effective access to birth control or the capacity to control when they interacted sexually with their partners. Because if a man wanted to have sex with you, you had to say, yes, you can have sex with me. You couldn't say, no, if we have sex today, I'm going to get pregnant and I'm not ready to have a baby yet. That's how it's supposed to be. So we're talking about cultural norms that made people have babies that they didn't want to have. And then these, what I would call aberrant practices. And again, I'm not a biblical literalist. I'm not saying, oh, Sodom and Gomorrah and God's going to smite you because you're having anal sex. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that it is a basic disrespect of what you're supposed to be doing with life force energy. Just like if you took food that was, beautiful, edible, whatever, like a Thanksgiving dinner, and you inserted it rectally up the anus. That's not what you're supposed to do with food. Food goes in here. That's what you're supposed to do in order to have it nourish your body and, go into your body effectively. So all of the, unusual sexual positions that are not for procreative sex, that is the beginning of disrespecting life force energy. So Tech is saying the womb is the energy center for women. It is an energy center, and it is like a cauldron. It is a place where energy is mixed together. So this is something very special about women. Again, not to cast aspersion upon males, because males are also special. What I really wish is for everyone on earth right now to recognize and wake up to the truth of their own specialness. And if that would be profound healing, like on the level of the ego, that everyone really knew how very special they were, how very unique and important they were as musicians in the symphony. And because a lot of the commodification of sexuality has to do with people feeling very not good and unworthy. And that getting sexual attention is one way to feel good and worthy. So women might dress in a particular way and be very sexually demonstrative in order to get attention from other people. And then they say, look, I'm a good person because guys are drooling over me. Look, I really exist. I affirm the truth of my own existence because males are staring at me. And let me just get a little bit into transgenderism. Again, I'm not casting aspersions upon people's personal journey. However, I will tell you that what I'm seeing in terms of males transgendering to being females, that for a lot of these people that become what they feel is a woman, the focus is on secondary sex characteristics. Like they want to get breast implants if they look like a woman, or they want to be able to sashay down the street and be, wearing red lipstick and having long hair and have males, look after them and be like, wow, I'm really attracted to that person. Those are not the focus of female healthy sexuality, because those secondary characteristics are just meant to get the procreative partner. That if transgender males who became females really wanted to become a female, part of it is motherhood. That sexuality in mammals is innately connected to motherhood and the desire to nurture your offspring. So breasts are not just about being attracted to males who will come and impregnate you. It's also about being able to feed the babies that you actually make. So for people that become transgender to female, I would challenge you, like if you're really into being a woman, you should be also about carrying around Kleenex and juice boxes. Like you got to make sure that you can blow your little kid's nose. You got to make sure you can give them some juice when they get thirsty, or any of the little things, like mom always carries Band-Aids, mom always carries this. It's about being a parent. That what in this unhealthy world where we are right now, that human sexuality has been divorced and separated from the end result, which is procreation, and that secondary sexual characteristics are lauded or exploited as the most important thing that is possible to have, when those characteristics are secondary and they're only meant to attract and create the potential for new life. That this is really all about creating life. So real partnership is using the tendril of attention to connect with the right person, focusing energy and in the actual procreative act on your partner, integrating genetically. And when you integrate genetically, it means you are traveling through time. You're taking all of the energy that came from all of the ancestors and distilling it down into this moment now, and having a reverberation that goes through time forward to all of the descendants. And that's a very big, wonderful, good, fantastic, creative, co-creative thing to do with divine consciousness, as opposed to how is this looked at in this present world as sexuality is commodified, women or males trying not to get pregnant as a result of sexuality, looking at sexuality as a recreational event, or the burdensomeness that many males feel due to their inappropriate arousal. So the male penis through circumcision is desensitized. Males are mostly cut off from their emotional centers so that they are then made to be sexually aroused by inappropriate partners. Because if you're aroused by an inanimate object, like a sex doll or a sock puppet, there is no way that a baby is going to result from the combination of a penis going into a sock puppet. That is not going to make a baby. So that's why I call that sexually aberrant. It is taking life force energy and putting it in the wrong direction. So then we have to say, why would that be going on? Because there's profound unhealthiness. And what we're actually supposed to have are males that are aroused in the presence of appropriate partners. So let's say a woman who's 89, no offense to any 89-year-old women out there, but you are long past the possibility to conceive a baby. So if a male is aroused by the appearance and body and physical structure and biological metabolism of an 89-year-old woman, that's not effective. How about of a 9-year-old woman? A 9-year-old woman, like in the same exact way, is not yet an appropriate partner. They are not fertile. How about an infant? That is the ultimate aberration, because anyone that is aroused by sexual contact with an infant, like that, it is a being that is so young they cannot possibly reproduce in any way. So these are totally inappropriate ways of directing sexuality. So what is necessary is, profound planetary healing. And I've gotten into this a lot too, and I haven't done it in this recording, but the idea that right now on Earth, there's a form of, yes, and this is what tech is saying. Now the government does this to us. The inappropriate sexual use, this is distortion of the time field and hijacking of DNA. This is what dark magic is. We could also call it dark technology. We could also call it satanic technology, because these cultural norms are not arising in a vacuum. The context for them is this technological compensatory mode that is being used to hijack and distort human consciousness and to hijack and distort the time field. So part of it is I've spoken about sexual abuse and satanic rituals that siphon off energy from a person's actual timeline. And then there's, of course, rape or inappropriate sexual contact and inappropriate creation or conception of babies. That is part of this reality distortion mechanism. The wrong people, the inappropriate partners getting together and making babies, like through incest or something like that. And then, of course, killing or discarding or torturing those babies. All of that is aberrant. All of that is wrong. So there are different levels of aberrance. Just focusing on Marilyn Monroe when you're having sex with your regular Jane Smith girlfriend is not the same as conceiving a child just for the purpose of having an abortion and discarding it into a landfill. Like they're not the same levels, but they are both similar levels of disrespect of the creative act of sexuality. So let me hold on a second here. I'm checking to see. I've got a few more minutes for this recording, and I'm keep on ducking off camera. I told you I'm having software problems with my chat over here. I'm getting my computer right over here. Let me look to see what's going on. Hold on, in some of these texts that I've got going. Okay, I'm trying to look at too many things at once. Okay, so yeah, so what? Oh, okay. So Jeannie is making an excellent point here. She says, I just learned to look into my body as you speak, and the anti-baby pill is disturbing this dance too. Hey, I didn't even get a chance to talk about hormonal birth control. No judgment on anybody that does any of these things. I've never taken hormonal birth control, but I understand that some people do it out of a sense of necessity. So this is one of those things that is a disrespect of the basic biological levels of life force energy. That the idea that for some women, it is good to choose when you have a child. However, hormonal birth control literally distorts and hijacks the natural hormonal metabolism of your body so that you cannot get pregnant. And I think that it is not an effective, good way to choose when you get pregnant, that there are much better ways of doing it. But I also understand that has been encouraged as part of this non-healthy, let me put this down, as part of the non-healthy aspect of human society, because when hormonal birth control, yes, that's exactly right, Tech is saying, it unbalances female hormones. It's basically, yes, because you have a natural cycle that is part of the circadian rhythm and is part of being part of the natural world. And for a woman, the hormonal cycle and monthly cycle of menstruation is also connected to creativity. Like I definitely find that my ideas for artwork and for music, yeah, so Patricia's asking about that vasectomy. So artwork and music, all of this, it's part of the monthly cycle and, being fallow and being creative. So vasectomy, I would say, is one of the better ways of preventing babies. If you don't want to have a baby, it's one of the better ways of preventing it, because you can still have the healthy flow of energy between the two partners. It's supposed to be like an unbroken energy current. But without, you have to disrupt it in some way. But, I would really say this, timing is everything. So one of the most effective or best ways to respect the cycle of reproduction and only have the babies that you want to have is to only have babies if you don't wish to get pregnant during a time when a woman is not fertile. But then the whole point is, why are you making love? Why are you having reproductive sex if you don't want to have a baby? I think that's the bigger question, because it shows that people want to have some sense of recreation with those feelings, but not take responsibility for the end result of what those feelings are actually connected to. That we have done this very unhealthy mental disconnect between feeling orgasm or feeling sexual pleasure and satisfaction and actually making a baby. But biologically and in terms of consciousness, those acts are intimately integrated. That it's not really healthy to disconnect. Oh, I just want to have sex and have those lovely orgasmic feelings, but I don't want to actually have to deal with having a baby. That, to my understanding and to my perspective, every aspect of partnership, from dancing together to see if your bodies fit together, to having food together, to sharing intellectual conversations together, to then getting to know each other's bodies, to then integrating each other with each other's bodies to the point that conception can be made, that all of that in a relationship is part of making new life. And I do not understand the disconnect of people in this time and place that say, like, they want to be in a relationship but not have children. They want to have sex but not have children. That this is actually like the biological, energetic, and spiritual motivation for why we come together. And it's true, we got to have the right babies, we got to be with the right people, we got to have the right babies at the right time. But a lot of it is like, to my understanding, that is what relationship is about. Because look, if you just want to have companionship, you can have companionship with a person of the same gender, you can have companionship with a person of any age, you can have companionship with a person who is a non-physical partner. So it goes beyond, like, people choose romantic partnership for more than mere physical companionship or friendship. They choose it for also levels of physical intimacy and sexual satisfaction. But physical intimacy and sexual satisfaction, these are meant to result in making more people and making a family and making a, created social structure. So I recognize that my viewpoint is the outsider's viewpoint. Like, I'm a cultural outsider, and I'm also new to having a physical body. And I had to learn all about how having a physical body motivates you. And definitely I felt that in, like, now I'm in my 40s and I was in my 30s, I definitely felt that sense of a biological imperative of wanting to have a child at a certain, within a certain age. Like, that's part of having a body. And I remember remarking to myself upon it, like, this is what it feels like you really want to have a baby at certain times in your life. And again, there's no judgment on all this. Like, these feelings are supposed to be sacred and divine. Like, if you want to play the piano, play the piano. If you want to play a particular song, play a particular song. Like, these are what motivates us, what we're supposed to be here doing with our bodies. So, okay, you got a good question over here. Let me read it properly. I know I'm trying to do too many things at once. Hold on a minute. Let me look at the chat. Okay, so C-section, I didn't get into that enough. The idea of the C-section. So if you have ecstatic, orgasmic partnership with, procreative partnership, the idea is that every aspect of sexuality is preparing the body for birth. This is the idea that the activity of intercourse helps to prepare the womb and vagina for birth, and that there is a way to have ecstatic and orgasmic birth that is actually, I wouldn't say that is not painful, that is profound and not enjoyable in the same way as sexual intercourse, but enjoyable and satisfying on a different level. And that mostly women in this time and place cannot imagine giving birth in that way, although now more women do it, like in a jacuzzi or in like a water bath, where it's a profound spiritual experience as opposed to a medical procedure. So the whole reason people get induced and they have to have C-sections, people schedule their C-sections for their convenience of their life or their doctor's life. And also when babies are not conceived properly and when pregnancies are not cultivated properly, then the C-section becomes inevitable. And just a very brief cultural backstory on this, the Native Americans of the West, like the American Southwest, before, when they were on their traditional diet and led a more traditional lifestyle, they required very minimal trips to the hospital for assisted birth. But in the 1800s and 1900s, when they started to eat processed food, processed white flour and sugar and all of that type of stuff, they went away from the native indigenous diet and away from their traditional forms of exercise and daily, using of their bodies. Then there was a huge increase in the need for assisted birth. So that taught me, when I read about that currently, the need for most women to have assisted birth in the hospital or have a C-section is almost entirely about behavior and diet and self-cultivation, and that there are many different things that can be done, like different forms of yoga and stretching, that can help women to have babies without the need for medical intervention, and definitely without the need to have a C-section. So how babies are conceived, how pregnancies are carried, and how babies are expelled at birth, all of this needs to be healed, because it needs to be done consciously. What I'm basically trying to say is that conception should be done consciously, partnership should be done consciously, and birth should be done consciously. And where you know what's going on in your body, and where you know what you're feeling and what you have to do and when you have to push. And that's, okay, this is a very good question. Since gay people are not attracted to people of opposite genders, it would not make sense for them to have long-term relationships with people they'd have babies with, right? How does gay sexuality fit into this discussion, or is it a completely different topic? Gay sexuality absolutely fits in this discussion. So again, don't take my words out of context. I'm not advocating for any kind of eugenics or euthanasia or anything like that. And if people are gay or they're born that way or they change their behavior, whatever it is, they're fine and they're beautiful. And that's, absolutely fine. Like, I don't want anyone to take my words out of context and say, kill all the gay people. No, it's not like that at all. Now, let me get into this. I do think that the people being gay and that transgenderism, even though they're definitely two different topics, but I think that a lot of it has to do with phytoestrogens, fake hormones in the environment, and also maternal stress during pregnancy. That this isn't necessarily, even though I agree that when a person is born, like sometimes things that have influenced the development of sexuality are what you're exposed to in the womb. And then it's, for some people, that is who and what they are when they are born. So I'm not trying to say we need to try to pray the gay away or anything like that. But I'm also saying that chemicals like atrazine, phytoestrogens, stuff that's in soy and soy milk and phthalates, all of that, we're swimming in this soup right now of fake hormones. Tech is saying government genetic deliberate tampering. Yeah, it's pretty much truthful. The idea of feminizing males to take away those testosterone-fueled characteristics that make males aggressive and also protective. It's just like snipping the balls off of a dog so that the dog doesn't chew and bark and piss everywhere. Like, this is no offense to males. This is what has been done to males in this society, that males have been, their maleness has been diminished so that they're easier to control. They're easier to walk on a leash. Oh, and Tech is saying active DNA corruption. That's going on too in terms of genetic manipulation. But wait. Let me go back to gay people. How could I say this in exactly the best way? Like, I understand that gay people have their own music that they are playing, and I'm not trying to say that it is bad or wrong. However, it is not procreative sex. And so the values of people that are expressing their sexuality not for procreative sex are very different than the values that derive from biological mammalian attraction. The whole idea is, in a non-corrupt system, females are attracted to certain males in order to carry those males' characteristics into the next generation. So if you're like, oh, I love males with blue eyes, I'm so attracted to the boys with blue eyes, it means that there is something inside of you as a woman that is saying, oh, you want to have a baby that carries this characteristic forward into the future. But if we are talking about homosexual expression of sexuality, attraction is not based upon what characteristics are being brought forward into the future. So then it becomes a very different social construct of, how do you choose partnership? What is your attraction based upon? It's not based on something that's going to lead to conception, affect the conception, or affect babies that come out. So then Tech is saying, but some gay people are becoming parents. That's right. Well, adoption is one thing. Like, it's like saying, you get a dog from the shelter. Like, that dog needs a home. Sometimes it can be very good if two people who are same sex, or if they're in a same-sex marriage, sometimes that can be good if they adopt. But there's real questions, even coming from some of the adult children now who were conceived through in vitro fertilization and either given to two dads through surrogates, or two moms, where one of the moms might have been a surrogate. That some of these children are coming forward now that have two same-sex parents, and they're saying that they know that they were conceived for their gay parents to have a family, and that the children themselves feel that that is somehow inappropriate because they would have wanted to have the experience of having both a male and female parent. And there's something very valid about that, because there are deep, profound biological programs for having the influence of both a male and a female parent. And that there's something really wonderful about the balance that comes from that. And there's something that is out of balance if you only have two moms or two dads. And again, I'm saying this not from any kind of judgment, no biblical literalism, no Sodom and Gomorrah stuff, nothing like that. And I would be friends with, I would, be totally cool with family that is made from two moms that have children, or family that is made from two dads that have children. Like, I'm not trying to send anyone out of my life by this broadcast, and I hope that I'm never misinterpreted. So, I would still have friends, socialize, but it's a very different approach. And these approaches, I have to say, that the idea, because sex is about reproduction. Sex is about reproduction. And the idea of two women that want to have sex and somehow have a baby that results from that, there is a missing component to that. And there's a puzzle piece that's missing that's called a penis and sperm. And I'm not saying that there is a judgment against the two women. I'm saying there is a mental disconnect. It's just like the transgender person that says, I want to look like a woman and have breast implants, but I don't actually want to have a baby and breastfeed. That's the disconnect. Okay, so wait. There's a question coming up here. Let me see what's going on. Okay. Tech is saying, I heard, Aurora, the Earth is supposed to be this galactic hospital. So, I mean, yes, we are here for healing. That's definitely what is going on. And I don't feel that you're over participating at all. You're just fine. Okay, so wait. Okay. Okay, so Patricia is asking this question. What if you have had your children, you don't want any more, yet you still share sex with your partner? Can we direct the energy to creating something else, like manifesting higher faculties? Thank you. Thank you for asking this question. Yes. So creative energy can come together and it can make a new person, like a baby. Creative energy can come together and it can make a physical expression, like a symphony, actual music. It can make actual artwork. It can make a conscious community. It can make a house. It can make all sorts of anything. That literally, that's what is happening. When two partners are both attenuating and they're adding their energy of imagination together, they can imagine a baby, they can imagine a farm, they can imagine a political solution. You can make love and give birth to new realities. And so, yes, it absolutely, that is a respectful, I applaud that. That is a respectful use of the creative life force energy, especially if two people are past the point of being able to procreate, like two people that are whatever 70 years old. You can still have sex as 70-year-olds. That's not disrespectful to the time field or anything like that, but you recognize that you're not having sex in order to create human infants, but you might be making love. This is the whole point. I keep on saying having sex and intercourse. This is about making love, and love is that tone of sharing. It's a tone. It means equal energy is being shared. So that love, it is love making or sharing energy with the time field, with this higher level of consciousness. And it is also love and sharing and integration with the person that you are with. You're each being like a conduit for the time field to act through. So yeah, that's a wonderful question, a wonderful expression, and very truthful, that you can honor Jeannie's saying the act of creation, even if you don't make babies. That's exactly right. So I want to make that clear also. You can be having loving sex with your partner appropriately, even if you are not intending to conceive a child, if you're intending to put that energy into an improvement of life, an improvement of the world. Mostly, I mean, I read about this, that many males think about baseball, like while they're making love to their wife, some of them are imagining Marilyn Monroe, and some of them are thinking about baseball statistics, like a way of distracting themselves. That is disrespectful. The most respectful thing, how about when you are practicing sexuality on your own? You're allowed to do that. That's fine. You're connecting directly, not with a partner, but directly to the time field. What are your thoughts during the time that you are expressing your sexuality? If you are thinking about realities that you don't want to manifest, you're putting sexual energy into those children that you don't want to have. But let's say while you are experiencing your own solo orgasms, you are putting all of the energy and reality creation into your own health and vitality and abundance, or fixing and healing social and political problems or environmental problems. Like, this is a worthy use of that creative life force energy. Let me just read a few more questions over here before I finish the recording. So Tekka said, okay, Tekka, this is interesting about being walk-ins. Tekka says, I thought walk-ins were weird when Ruth Montgomery first wrote in the 1970s. However, I reserve judgment, manifesting higher qualities. Okay, yeah, so I understand. I describe myself as a walk-in. I understand there are other types of walk-ins. So I would say, take me at face value for who I am, not associated with anyone else. It's not like we're all on team or something like that, because I had to learn that not everybody is a galactic walk-in, not everybody is a walk-in coming from the same values system or with the same approach that I have. So I've really had to learn that. But yeah, I'm a galactic abstraction. And so you also understand that I'm new to having a human female physical body. So I'm learning about all of these attraction, revulsion, emotion, sexual arousal, and the desire to conceive. I'm learning about all of those things. And I'm also learning about human society and about how these biological truths are expressed through social constructs. And so at first, it's kind of like, oh, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I remember literally when I first got to Woodstock, this was like in 2003 or so, and I met this person who I stayed with, just on their couch. Melissa asked me what made me walk in. There was a brain injury to the person that used to be in this body that caused their metabolic death. And that is why I walked in through the flying rainbow lasagna genetic portal. And that's why I, as Aurora, am now in this body. But yes, I remember it was like a couple of years after walking in that I had just met a new friend in Woodstock, and I went home, to her place, and she's like, oh, like, let's watch some TV. She turns on the show Sex in the City. And I was just appalled by that. I was kind of like, these are the values of what I kind of couldn't imagine that was a show and that was what people were like around here. Oh, Melissa's asking me, I'm an abstraction. Why come in human form? Because if I looked like this, it would be really hard to have a conversation with everyone. So yeah, I have a face, and I use the human operating system to interface with everyone. I use language to interface with everyone. When I first got here, I was not verbal and articulate like this. And I just drew lots and lots of pictures and did lots of diagrams, and I showed them to people. And the response was not understanding. So I had to learn how to articulate things. And Melissa is asking me, what was my point of coming here? The point was to share the concept of the flying rainbow lasagna as effectively as I could, from the first person perspective of human embodiment, as opposed to from a mere abstract disembodied presence. Because there's many humans here are not able to hear or connect effectively to the time field. They can't hear that music. So in order to really share this information, I had to actually get a body with a mouth that I can use to talk to people about this kind of stuff, and hands that I can use to gesture. So yes, and it's been a big challenge. Patricia's asking me about indigos. So indigos, this actually relates to the level 1. Indigos would be people that are born, for this level of inner perception and development, but that's not the end of the journey. That people shouldn't get wrapped up in the egotism of that, what happens when we start to activate these faculties, but haven't yet connected to the divine and abstraction, that a lot of times people think, I am the only Christ. I'm the only one. I know what's going on and no one else knows. But the truth is that we are all the Christ. We're all connected. So when you first get your energy up to here and start to open up this level, you're like, I'm so special. The truth is you are so special. Then when you really raise your energy up to here, you see everyone is so special. Everyone is so special. And that is how I am looking at the world. And this goes down to microbes. Microbes are special. Tiny little vibrating quartz crystals are special. Patricia's saying, I thought it was about healing the genetic code. Yeah, well, you know something? When we change our perception, we are able to heal the genetic code, and also vice versa. Healing the genetic code allows us for expanded and more focused levels of perception. Okay, Jeannie is asking a question. Do I think older people should stop orgasm? I always thought orgasm is like time traveling, can help free and heal the soul. I think yes, no, how can I answer this? Older people who cannot procreate should have orgasm. Everybody should have orgasm. Guess what? You should have an orgasm even if you don't have a partner. Having an orgasm is like having a healthy physical metabolism. It is part of having the energy that flows correctly around our body. So yes, I encourage everyone to have healthy sexuality and to express it in a healthy way. And you don't necessarily have to have a partner to express your sexuality in a healthy way. But I would say, like, don't get a sex doll. Don't put your energy into, a false container that, if you are expressing your sexuality as a solo expression, like you're making love to the cosmos, you're making love to the sun and the stars and the earth and the planets, and you're part of this larger fabric of consciousness that we are integrated with. There's nothing wrong with that, because I forget that there's all these Christian judgments about masturbation. No, those judgments are nonsense. However, I would say, don't just masturbate thinking about Marilyn Monroe. Like, that's not, don't focus your sexual energy in that way, or on pornography, or on a Playboy bunny, or on anything like that. Jeannie is saying something very interesting. We could make FRL orgasm. I would encourage everyone to do that. because if you really did that, that would be like making an orgasm that reverberates across time, across your many different levels of perception and reality, not just who you are in this moment and in this time, but who you are in the future, in the past, who you are as a microorganism, who you are as a galactic scale being. Matthias doesn't know what FRL is. It means flying rainbow lasagna. You must be very new. This is the flying rainbow lasagna. So yes, we'll have to get you hooked up to all the webinars where I describe that in detail. Okay, so, and let me just, I'm just checking these out. Okay, so Jeannie wants to know, she says, you walked in through the portal. The FRL is a portal. Explain again, please. This is a genetic portal. Our genes are portals. They're just like the way that your TV can receive broadcasts, our genes are like an antenna that can receive broadcasts. And these are broadcasts of consciousness. And if we're doing everything right, we receive our broadcasts of consciousness from the sun, the stars, the stellar network, this, profound higher dimensional reality. However, we have this hijacked system, so we're not always receiving our broadcasts from the intended signal distributors. So this flying rainbow lasagna is a new genetic dance, or a new way of arranging the apparatus of your DNA to receive signals in a new way, so that you can get reconnected to the sun and the stars and the consciousness. And that, so when I say I came in through this portal, what I did was I took the usual genetic formation of this body and made it vibrate in a higher dimensional context, and made this oscillation, this portal, that I could come into this body through that portal. And I'm not some evil, malevolent demon. And I know that I have to constantly reaffirm that I'm not a body snatcher, and that I'm allowed to be here, and that this is consensual and appropriate, and all that kind of stuff, because I understand people are very traumatized and very skeptical, and your skepticism is well placed. However, all you need to do is look at my value system. I'm offering options to you. I'm not imposing options upon you. All of this is done in love. Love means acceptance. It means if you don't want to do the flying rainbow lasagna dance, that's fine. Go do your thing. Go. If you don't want to play this music, that is fine. If you don't like this music, that is also fine. Oh, and Patricia's asking me, where do I show you how to vibrate and dance like an FRL? So I have a couple of different webinars that are focusing on this. One is called How to Dance Like a Flying Rainbow Lasagna. One is called How to Dance Like a Flying Rainbow Lasagna Across Time. And both of these relate to the recorded homework lessons too, that are enabled for free preview. So if you want to learn how to dance like a flying rainbow lasagna, it does not cost money. You can do it. Tech is saying, I still think some group sent you. It depends on how you define a group. Like, yes, I come from a collective of consciousness, but it's not like the Borg. It's not like an evil, malevolent, resistance is futile type of thing. It's more like our body. Our body is made of many cells that all work together. Just got to put my computer down. And we don't compete with one another. So yeah, I come from many different individual consciousness that all work together. Exactly, consciousness of love. Love is our operating system. Love is the gas that makes our car go, that makes our apparatus fly through time. And it's a living vessel. It's just like, it's not a clank clank metal spaceship. It's like, my body is alive. The vessel that we occupy when we fly through space and time and consciousness is alive. And it's not like you can disrespect the vessel. People think, oh, like, I'm going to crash my car. It's going to get a dent. I'll just keep on driving. Okay, Melissa's asking, do I harvest energy? Not being rude, just asking. No, I'm not here to harvest energy. That's just the most amazing thing in the world. No, and I think you can tell by this. Okay, so how do I run my classes? I'm like, hey, here's all of this information that I'm sending out, and I'm sending it out to you just because I'm sending it out. But if you would like to support it, then you can contribute through Patreon, or you can enroll, or you can do this or that. I'm not saying, oh yeah, in order to know what this is a secret, I'm keeping it a secret. In order to know what it is, you must give me $1 million. I'm not doing that. I'm actually saying, hey, here's some information I'd like to give to you. It's optional, not mandatory. Hey, it's why I get people to come in here and do these webinars, because it's like a way of saying, you're choosing to expose yourself to these ideas. I'm not forcing it upon you. I'm not like cramming lasagna down your throat in the middle of the night while you're trying to sleep. This is, think about that. I'm not mentally broadcasting into your mind and saying, you have to think these thoughts that I'm making you think. I'm saying, hey, here's a video. You can watch a video and think about these thoughts if you want to. And if you're not into it, please go do whatever you want to do. Go in peace. I'm not here saying I need 100% compliance. I need 100% lasagnification from Earth's humanity. Otherwise, I can't fulfill my fiendish plan. That is not what I'm saying. And I also, for new people, I liken this to advanced jazz band. And in school, I don't know if you had this in your school, but in school, like some people hate to practice their instruments. Some people love to play their music, and they get to be in the advanced jazz band. You don't have to be in it. You get to be at that level. You get to be at that level through practice and through inner development and through working with other people because you wish to, be a good musician. So yeah, the Flying Rainbow Lasagna team is optional, not mandatory. And I understand that people are traumatized and skeptical. It's like if you've been to a restaurant, you got food poisoning at a restaurant. You're like, oh, I had bad pad thai there and I'm never going to eat at a restaurant again. So you're skeptical of my food. I'm like, I understand that you had some bad pad thai, but I am making a different recipe and I'm telling you, none of my stuff has salmonella and all my stuff is good and clean to eat, but I understand where you're coming from on that. So you can tell that my ingredients are good because here's the way that I get them. So you can tell my ingredients are good because I'm getting my ideas directly from the Stellar Network, because I am sharing these ideas, let's say, in a loving, unconditional way, as opposed to like a malevolent being that is forcing you to do something. I invite you to participate. I invite you to contribute. I'm certainly not enforcing this on anyone. And if you choose not to participate, that's totally fine by me. I think that's really the big thing here. Like, take it or leave it. You're allowed to do what you want to do. And I'm not going to, but most people here are used to being really forced into compliance. And also the sales. I think you've noticed with my sales pitch that I'm not very much into the hard sell. I'm pretty much like, here's information. If you want it, please make a contribution. But there are some people that are more like, oh yeah, first I'm going to send you these marketing emails. Then I'm going to drip this. Then I'm going to do this. And then you got to apply to this. And it's like, I'm really not doing that. So I hope you can sense from all of my behavioral values. Oh, that's interesting. Jeannie is saying I am activating. She says you are activating us as you speak. I will tell you this, that in a lot of ways, the actual words that I'm making are arbitrary and secondary to the energy and the vibration and the feeling that I put into vibrating the atmosphere with my voice. And sometimes I do these overtone singing of just doing singing like that, and I just do it to send out that abstract, tonal information and feeling to the world. So yeah, it's absolutely truthful that when I do my radio show and when I do a presentation like this, sometimes the meaning of the words are secondary to the actual energy and intention that is what upholds the words. And I hope that you can feel the truth of the energy and the intention, that it is intended to be loving in an unconditional way, to be offered as food and inspiration to other people, and that it is, like a signal that I send it out to you and you reflect it back to me, and I send it back to you and you reflect it back to me. So this is partnership. Not, I understand someone asked me, like, am I harvesting energy or feeding off of you? Like, no, I'm actually trying to be like a musician. Let me get my little piano here. I'm trying to jam, be like, that's my music. This is what I play. Now I want to hear your music. What's your music like? And your music is your ideas, and music is your voice and your biology. And that this is really, I know that it's a very different approach than some teachers have, where I'm interested in connecting with other people, and I'm interested in sharing my ideas to you and having you share your ideas to me. I'm definitely not trying to be at the pinnacle of a pyramid-shaped hierarchy where I present myself as the only expert. But I do say that I'm an expert or a virtuoso in lasagna. Like, I know about this, so I feel very happy and comfortable sharing this and my expertise with other people. And I also leave the door open that each person has their own expertise that they are here to share, and I can benefit from hearing from them. It's like, this is my instrument, this is my music that I play, and you've got yours, and you've got a flute, and you've got a bass drum, and everybody should play together. So, okay, I'm also feeling like I need to end the recording so that my upload won't be too long. So let me just say thank you to everyone who's participated. Thank you to everyone who's new, and I enjoy your comments and your insights. Absolutely, I won't end the entire conversation, but let me just end the recording for the moment. Otherwise, my upload will be too long. Hold on a minute. Thank you to everyone.